How y'all doing today? Welcome to our second episode of shit. It's fucked up. Welcome to the first taping. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Your hands is way too big.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second taping of No Interviews, Just Conversations, or Just Conversations, No Interviews. We realized that we all dyslexic and we're gonna say the shit mixed up till you, the people, tell us what the name of it gonna be.
I was about to say, welcome to No Questions.
Welcome to our first taping. No interviews, just conversations. Fucked it up again. But at this point, we're gonna just keep taping and rocking. All right. Right now, we want to get into a subject that we've seen floating around the internet about the savior mentality. It was first brought up during Kyrie Irving's absence from basketball over the last couple of weeks. He was having problems. He was saying, it was too much going on in the world, and he didn't feel as though he should be playing basketball because the problems in the world were more important than him playing basketball. So I'd like to turn this topic over to my two partners to see how do you feel about the savior mentality. Have you ever felt like being a savior was so important that your everyday life you really couldn't function with?
I don't think so, personally. I mean, maybe that just makes me a little selfish. I don't think all the world problems are supposed to fall on my shoulders. But I do have empathy for people who are going through issues, and I would like to help as much as I can, but I don't think I would sacrifice my means for my family to trying to save everybody.
I wish I could be that way. I think savior mentality, aka Virgo, is all in one. I'm so busy trying to save hoes, save these niggas. Yeah, I don't know why. Savior mentality is definitely something that's very real. Just wanting everybody to be their very best selves at all times, and you go above and beyond. And sometimes within that, you lose yourself because you're so focused on everybody being great. And it is draining, very draining.
I kind of agree with Miss O. One, because I believe in, especially when it comes to the community, and whether that's my family or the people I grew up with. I come from like, if I shine, then we got to shine together. So
you think you know more than everybody?
Yeah, that's true. That's fine. But listen though, it's been times in my life when I've had come ups. I've had great come ups, and it don't feel right when I'm coming up and the people around me not coming up. So I always either try to give them game. Sometimes I did the dumb stuff like give people money, which is horrible because if they didn't work to get it, they're not going to respect it. But sometimes it's just boring, like you shining by yourself. Or sometimes you jump so fast and you get in these rooms and you look around, you're like, damn, my man here with a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old men, and I'm 20 years old, and like I can't even talk about like the latest song or the latest music or the latest dance because these guys are stuck in their ways and they're on their 40, 50-year-old mentality. So it's like you here and it's like you did all this work to get here. It's like, damn, I'm here by myself. And there's nobody to even share it with.
So now that leads me to a question I have in my mind. So when you talk about a savior mentality, are we okay? I look at it as we're saving people, but in that same essence, people always say it's lonely at the top. But in comparison, they also say the 5 people that you have closest to you, that's who you are. That's your makeup. So my question then becomes, are we hanging around people that's not on our level? Or are we doing things to make us feel better about ourselves?
I think that's a tricky question because that's kind of what I got from it. It seemed like sometimes when these people have these savior mentalities, it's self-glorifying, it's self-gratification a little more than what it really is about the actual issue. It's like I did it, I saved them.
So it's like ego.
It's ego. You'll find it in a lot of people, I did this or I did that, so I can say I did this or I can say I did that. And I'm not saying that that's what that guy's issue is, but when they say savior's mentality, I want to kind of backtrack on what I said as far as being a little selfish and want to sacrifice myself. Now, I don't know exactly what they said about that savior's mentality. Was it him sacrificing his lifestyle based off that?
I'll give you more of the story. So Kyrie Irving gets paid like $30 million.
Right, I heard a little bit of it.
To play basketball. And he was saying, man, listen, I'm watching people dying. I'm watching what just happened at the Capitol. I seen how they let those people run wild in the Capitol, and if that would have been my people, would have been people dead. And and at the same time, he went and paid for, I want to say 10 students at Lincoln University, paid for their full ride, whatever was left for their tuition, right. He paid. Whether or not he was self-centered, I don't know. I just know that at that point in his life, And you know how sometimes when you got enough money and maybe the money didn't mean nothing at this point. It was like, man, I think I need to be doing something else. That's how I took it. I don't know
Gotcha.
how,
Gotcha.
because he what I heard him say didn't really answer the question. It just
Yeah.
it just seemed like it just made the black hole even deeper.
I mean, but I don't think it's a problem if you doing things within your means.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think you got to be able to continue to be successful if you want to continue to help people financially. I mean, if you gave all of yours away and you have no means to keep making money, then who did you really help? You know what I mean? You didn't help them because now you ain't in position to keep helping. That's just how I see it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
I don't
if you
understand
give away
why
the
we
whole
always
power.
in somebody else's pockets as black people. Why are we always worrying about and concerned with other people are doing as opposed to focusing on ourselves? That's the main problem right there. You so busy concerned with what's going on to your left and your right that you
Right.
ain't focused.
Right.
I don't got time to be worried about nobody. That's why I'm not on Instagram and Facebook. I don't have time to worry about nobody pictures, what they doing, what they saying, where they eating. No, thank you. I don't have time. That's taking me off my shit.
Well, unfortunately, she is on Instagram, so that's already that's her first lie for the day, folks. And I am here to catch her in her BS.
Listen.
Because she's coming with the BS, folks, and
I
I'm
don't
here
have
for it.
time for Instagram. Somebody might send me a picture real quick, but even that today, I don't know if y'all might live a different type of lifestyle, but I have all types of friends, bartender friends, professional friends. But today in Philadelphia, it seems like people was focused on this hair salon who so-called took $700,000 worth of money, and everybody worried about her finances. Is her shop closed? Is she locked up? But was it coming from a good place or was it coming from a bad place? And as a community, when we talking about savior mentality, I see everybody with a GoFundMe page. Everybody had fish fries. Everybody do all these things, and quite honestly, a lot of people, when they get together, is really focused and centered around negative things, trying to pay for it. That's just my personal opinion. But again, why are we worrying about other people?
Well,
Why is the mindset?
So are you so do you believe in the savior mentality, or you don't, or do you believe it should be like for a certain age, like hey, I'll try to help these kids, but I ain't fucking with these adults.
I think as long as it comes from a genuine place. For example, you have two a husband and a wife that I just read about who wrote children's books. How can you create and write children's books and they just been arrested for abusing their own daughter? How can you, create these wonderful things, but then in your personal life, it doesn't coincide with who you are as a person? How can you be preaching on Sunday, but then molesting your daughter on Monday? So I think if it comes from a genuine place, like for me, especially with my students, teaching for almost 20 years, you have students that just strictly come to school to eat. Then you have students that come, that's real talk.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right, because it's funny during the pandemic, they had to open back up the schools just so kids can eat. Just so kids can eat. So that's a serious thing that you got to come to school to eat.
Right.
But we can also, I believe, that the pandemic has, taken the struggle, just taken what people go through at a whole heightened level.
Yeah.
A whole nother level. The fact that, me, when I look at those food banks and the people in line all over the world, before it even opens, it's thousands of people in the line for food. Yeah. People that never receive public assistance. So my point is, even getting back to his interview, I think what we saw this year was very different. What we saw this year, even with me teaching social studies, it really just, it hurt me every day to teach our history, but it's prevalent right now. This is things that's supposed to be archived, historic, but yet and still the same issues and things that we're dealing with in regards to us being hungry. Our children are having food, water. My students can't come to school because they don't have internet service. Those are real issues. So when you talk about, what we did last year versus this year, I think we all now are in a different program state of mind based on, what we've experienced firsthand as opposed to reading it in a textbook.
Yeah, I think the ugly shades, I think the shades have came off everybody. So I think that certain group of people, class of people, so there's no color to this, it's a class. Sometimes, your financial puts you away from things that are really going on in other places. So I've been in some of these white towns, like Monroe, Michigan, wow, shut down. Things are shut down. Things is look kind of bad out there. North Philadelphia, even though they're going through gentrification, it's still some parts where you can go down and you be like, damn, there ain't nobody gentrifying over here. Or you can go out southwest in some of the neighborhoods where people wanted to live at, not too far from Penrose, and realize like, damn, like everybody's feeling this. Even though some people who've been able to skate out of it because of the PP, the PPA, the things like that, you know, at the end of the day, I think we are in a time where it's like you want to look at yourself and be like, man, like, am I just going to worry about me and myself, which is understandable because if we in the room and this ceiling start to fall, I think everybody in here is going to go like this. So that's self-preservation. So everybody got to take care of themselves.
I'm jumping out the window.
Yeah, well, you're special. You're special. But
I gotta go.
I'm quite sure. I don't think nobody here is going to be like this, like no, and let it hit me. So
it's not even a natural reflex.
No, it's not. So I understand, self-preservation, but the problem is I just want to make sure that once people go like that and they're straight, it ain't no more gonna fall on you. Then help out somebody who the shit did hit.
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect segue into talking about gentrification and what does it mean for us, or how do we make it profitable and something that we can benefit from as a people. The same thing as far as a savior. This is our community. This is our neighborhood. Why are we letting, other, and there's nothing wrong with the others, but why are we letting anybody come into our neighborhoods and open up corner stores? Why are we letting these things happen within our communities, especially right now?
I think because a lot of us don't even know how to counteract that. It's so much that go into stopping things from happening, petitioning, and things like that. We're a little ignorant to those devices. You know what I mean? I don't think none of us are really happy about that hostile takeover, but we don't even know what to do to, compete with it.
Well, in my brain one time, I was sitting in one of these neighborhoods that I work in, and I be in sometimes, and I was looking like, damn, man, like, some of these people take all the resources out of this community and don't give us nothing back. Like, they don't even give us no free paper for back to school. Like, I think a pack of paper 30 cents.
Right.
Like, yo, why can't we get like a little tub and y'all just like, hey, listen, man, I'm
gonna tell you why.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why personally. First and foremost, I feel like, everybody plays a role. Just like within a family, you have a dad's role, a mom's role, right? Even the dog has a role. Now, within the school community, tell me why as educators we are now left with the responsibility of supplying your child with their supplies.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that because of that, right, why can't these stores, and with respect to their budgets, because I know just because you got a store in the community does not mean you're a millionaire. I get it. But we all know that some of y'all getting that 30 off 100, and y'all know what I'm talking about. So don't act like y'all don't know, because we know what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying is that it is profits to making some things. So why can't every store just take a bean out of a couple dollars out of it and say, hey, listen, y'all selling Lucy's that y'all ain't supposed to be selling, and we ain't gonna talk about them shots y'all selling now too. So why not take a certain amount of that money and say, hey, you know what? This is for the kids in the community.
But who are we talking about?
We talking about the corner store owners.
So we talking about Asians that come over and they have that set amount of money, because what they do, they have that set amount of money, and when they, whatever their baseline is or whatever their quota is, once they make that quota, they then go back over to their land, their country, where they come from with their people, and then send the next person over on that stipend or whatever the government provides for them, and they're basically
in this
yes,
right here,
exactly.
I need for something to come out. When this is happening, I need something to come out for the people where you're getting that. Well, see, this is the thing. Like I said, you can't always just take. Sometimes you gotta get with respect. To me being a business owner in the community before, hey, you got bills. They don't got taxes because you don't have to pay taxes when you come over on certain things. But you still got bills and you got mortgages and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is that somewhere along the line there has to be some type of give back, because these kids, when these moms are getting those stamps and those cars and they maxing out, for one, I hate to see somebody eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day out the poppy stores.
Oh, first of all, food is what fuels your brain. That's the difference between smart and intelligence. Certain type of foods is going to give you that energy. It's going to give you that substance that you need to be able to endure 8 hours of learning, 8 hours of being able to sit down still. That's why they hype talking about ADHD. No, it's that fucking soda pop they had this morning and the bag of chips. That black bag that they come in with every day. You know what I mean? And my point, when I go there, I just mean for back in the day, it was a village. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any other ethnicity contributing to our race, but we have to start in-house. Until, you know, in my job, we talk about equity all the time. And my big thing in these equity meetings is that, you know, it's really funny, you know, for us to spend all this time on equity and ensuring that all people are treated equally, but the only discrimination I've ever felt is with my own people. I don't feel my own people lifting me up. I don't feel my own people encouraging me. So, you know, it's almost like twofold. You want to help your community, build your community, but what's the substance within the community?
Right.
So tell me this thing, because we were just talking about gentrification. What's the biggest thing you ever seen gentrified in your life? What's the biggest thing you ever seen gentrified?
In terms of a location or in terms of a population?
Period.
I think, you know, my life has been very different. You know what I mean? So when I look at gentrification, for me, I'm going to focus within my household and what's been around me, right? So when I look at gentrification in terms of the meaning and the changes, I feel like when, just like how you said, us not uplifting one another, I feel like the gentrification in my family has been success and failure. Meaning people that are positive and are trying to do the right things, they are not uplifted and promoted and, you know, encouraged by any others. So it leaves a divide. So when you talk about gentrification, it's like me over here and then my family right here, but that's how I feel personally. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm on that island by myself where I'm trying to make all this grass green for everybody to come on my side, but they like, what? You know, it's everything but wanting to enjoy it, but more so, how'd you get that? What you do to do that? You know, it's all the rhetoric followed behind some bullshit as opposed to us enjoying this green grass.
So what about you? What are you saying the biggest thing you ever seen gentrified?
I mean, just we came in talking about corner stores, and I might have seen that happen a few different times in my life, just alone.
And what did you see?
Communities stayed the same, but who was providing product in the community was totally different. I seen it go from predominantly black-owned stores in our communities, then it went to Asians, and then it went to Spanish. You know what I mean? And you know, kind of doing a full circle, and now there's the same neighborhoods is white. But when we talked about, you know, these businesses contributing back into the community, and why don't they do it and why don't they do this? Because first of all, those stores in those community are not owned by people from the community. So you ain't gonna have the same exact empathy for these people who's patronizing your business. So you're not gonna really give back because they're not you. You know what I mean? They're not your people. We ain't saying whether it should, that's good with ethics. No, they should give back. It's what you should do. But if you ask them why they really don't give a fuck. You understand what I'm saying? Now, problem with that is, I done seen how these stores went from black stores to all these different ethnic groups. Because just like the community, them businesses in that community got to take care of that community. That community have to take care of that business. Because that business is a part of the community. Now, I came up kind of similar to Abby. My family owned stores, cleaners, apartment buildings, you name the business in my neighborhoods, we had them. And the thing about our community, when you give and you give and you give, sometimes it becomes the rule. They looking for a handout most of the time. You get more people who come for I want to be able to put this on the eye, I want this on the eye, can I get a deal with this, can I get a deal with that?
Yes, all black people want a deal.
So they'll patronize your business that way, and they'll pay you your tab. Some will pay you your tab back, some of them won't. But they shop with the other people a little different. They get their money, they get their checks, they get their, whatever means of income it is. When that money come, they go spend it the regular way at the other stores. But when they shopping with you, it always got to be on an IOU. So if I'm always giving out product and I don't really have no finances reciprocated, how do I even re-up if I ain't got no money to re-up my business? So now you're taking me under because I'm being kind, supporting the community. So it's bigger than what you can do for the community that you have a business in, but what do that community do for you?
So I guess
One hand washes the other. That's one of the main reasons why you don't see as many black businesses in black neighborhoods. They dried out because they don't patronize the same way. And this is from experience. This is not an opinion. This is from experience. I've seen it. I lived it. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what it is.
Well, with that being said, there's two parts I wanted to talk about from what you said. For one, from what y'all saying, you know, for me, one of the craziest things I've seen gentrified is the people mind, and mainly our minds.
Yes.
So when you think about it, the fact that we would accept boycotting us, we'll boycott ourselves, but then go over here to Mr. Charlie or whoever it is to spend all of our money
Point I just said, exactly.
the best way.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is that that's a
And even deeper. You ever notice how your dialect change when you're on the telephone, when you're trying to make your doctor's appointment, as opposed to you talking to somebody that you know is black? Why do we do that?
Well, I will say that's not everybody.
That's a lot of people, though. A lot of people.
But as of lately, the ignorance is overflowing. Like I'm
Absolutely.
dead serious. The ignorance is overflowing to the point where it's almost an embarrassment sometimes when I go in some establishments and I see some people wilding out, because the person who you wilding out to, whether they're a black person,
They're an
Asian,
employee.
what they're looking at is like, for some reason, whenever a black person does something, it gets grouped into all black people like this.
Yes.
And when another nationality do something, it's like, no, that person, Mr. or Mrs. Such and such, they did that.
Yeah, it ain't all inclusive.
Yeah, whenever we do something, it becomes all inclusive.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah.
and I get it. So, like I said, again, to me, it's more the gentrification of the mind. And then also with the businesses and stuff, that's true. The business is supposed to be supported by a community. That's how the business flourish.
Yes.
So my thing that I'm saying is that we helping these businesses flourish. Then how about everybody? Because one thing about black people, we'll boycott ourselves. I had a business community.
Yes.
When they got pissed at me, they boycotted.
Yes.
Me. But I never seen them boycott the other people who selling spoiled food, out of date food, things like that. And
Or won't give you anything
Or
in a
bringing
high.
it in our community.
Or won't let you short.
So
50
what I'm
cents.
saying, they won't do that. So then how about we take our power? Hey, we ain't going to your store for a month until you come to have a conversation for 2 days. For 2 days, if we just settle our money for 2 days and say, you know what, we ain't going to your store till you come have a conversation with us. Because somewhere in here, it's still not the proper respect. I come in your house, I take my shoes off if you got a shoeless house. You know, and the thing is that we keep letting people come in our house and do whatever they want. And true indeed, but the thing is, like, we giving them the money. Like you said, we giving them money, because if not, then all the stores will be closed down. But they're not.
See, with us, when we in our communities and we have stores, we got this sense of entitlement.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where I go in they'll go in another store that's by a different ethnic group, and they don't feel like that person is supposed to give them the same help, support, or respect. But we'll go in each other's store and demand the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True
It's
indeed.
something entitlement. So, it almost seemed like, and it's probably the wrong way of thinking, but it almost seemed like the best way to do business is not with your family.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I always say I
it's-
always say that, and that's again because I
in
live
every
it.
aspect, because we might be thinking that that's how it is in our community, because we have most of our businesses in our community, but we don't know if they go through the same thing. It might be a human instinct. It might not just be what we do to each other. It might be what they do to one another also.
Yeah, it's almost like I said. It seems like the gentrification for everybody is their mind. Like people take the human nature is just to feel. You know what I mean? You got feelings. Like, especially, you come from a warm climate and stuff like that. Like, you're original. You're a feeler. You're emotional. You feel things. And the problem is, like, we let the yo-yo happen to us, and all of a sudden now we just want to hurt the person that's closest to you or look most like you, which is it doesn't even make sense.
Right.
It's been going on for a very long time. I wasn't living, pre the 70s, so I don't know what happened, but from what I hear, it's always been that way. I know at one point we did have close-knit communities. I remember when I was younger, nobody on the block starved. So it was, and I remember when I was younger.
Exactly.
The corner store,
for cheese, whatever.
Corner store was not breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Corner store was a treat. Hey, here's $1 for the day. Make it last. I remember I used to go get 2 raisin bars, 2 bags of Cheetos noodles, and I drunk water for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that, we kind of got away from a lot of things that made us great. And owning our economics and recycling our economics is something that's really missing. And until we change,
And we also got to be more prevalent within our community as well. I know so many people, once they get at a certain tax bracket or a certain, point in their life, they want to then merge to the, to the Penn Salem or to the outskirts. And it depends on the reason. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but, it's almost like, again, if this is your community and we're trying to build as a people together collectively, you cannot. Me, for example, I would never go and teach at Central High School. I would never go and just teach at a quote unquote other school. And I love others. I love all people. But I'm going to give to my race first. I'm going to make sure that my students that look like me and can identify to me and with me, they're going to get my all. Period. Just that mentality.
So basically, just get the help where it's needed.
Give the help where it's needed and where you can see improvements. You know what I mean? For example, with a teacher, I'm not going to, I love all my children, but let's just say, for example, when it comes to testing, if I see a child that's, borderline C, I'm going to do everything I can because I know that I can probably get him up to a B versus somebody that's a flat out F. You understand? And I'm not saying I'm not trying to educate that F student, but, you got to pick and choose your battles.
All right. How you doing, Gay? Just want to thank one of the people that provided this clothing for me today. That's Daryl Austin at Bungie and Machete. I'd like to thank him for sending this shirt out. We will look.
That shirt hot.
We will look forward to interviewing him on here one day. So hopefully, we can all line up all the stars. And there's going to be a couple people we're going to talk to. Excuse me. We don't do interviews. We just have conversations. So always remember that. So anybody today is watching our show and they saw an interview, they're lying. We only have conversations because we like to talk to people to see, what are you doing, where are you going. So I'd like to thank Bungie for this nice product. Very soft cotton. For that cotton there, sir.
Speaking of conversations, why are you the only one
with
one?
Yeah, I know.
Why are you the only one with one?
I'm cheap, man. I wanted to buy everybody one, but my access card, the PP checks didn't come through yet. They fronting on me right now.
Nature of this guy.
Somebody get that governor. Forget his name. I think Tom Wolf or governor. Somebody. I need the money, man.
So I go on this cruise, and the premise of the cruise is, her being this motivational speaker and so forth. Now, I'm all about building women up, supporting women, anything that's black and positive. I'm trying to, at least give them the benefit of the doubt and encouragement and whatever, support, all that, right? Now, it is just very behooving to me how somebody who is seeing a therapist can then elicit motivation for another person. So it's either genuine or it's about the paycheck. Now, I listened to this woman talk, right? She been in my, vicinity, just moving around the city, Philadelphia, right? I know who she date. I'm listening to your words, but then I see the type of man that you dating and sleeping with.
Right.
Okay, and I know personally, right? It don't add up. 1 + 1, and I thought it equaled up to 2 all day long, all day.
So is it like a 1.5, 1.3?
So she's saying she ain't practicing what she.
Absolutely
preach.
not.
Well,
And there's so many of them. My
but
whole.
most people don't.
But then, how can you benefit and make money from that and still feel good about what you're doing, what you're giving to the people? How is that really uplifting, encouraging our people as a whole if you're not giving them honesty and truth?
I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of people might not agree with me when I say this, but a lot of times, man, I might want good game from somebody, and they might not even be able to do what they telling me to do, but I can do it. But just because they ain't doing it don't mean it ain't still good game. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it's not good game.
What I want from the person is the information. I don't need their dedication behind it. I just need to be able to take what they're saying to the next level for myself. Now, if they're gonna practice that, that's their personal thing. They don't owe me that part of their life. You understand what I'm saying? Their job is to make sure I stay on the straight and narrow. What they do on their time, that's their business. Now, they know what to do because they telling me how to do it, but it's their decision whether they want to follow that or not. You understand what I'm saying? So all I want from a person that has wisdom is the information. What you gonna do with it, that's on you.
But now, think about what you said. Now, I hate to keep going back, but I can only talk about what I know. Now, that's just like me being an educator, but then at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 7, Monday through Friday, I smoke crack.
Well,
Don't
'cause you just
matter.
make bad decisions.
But I'm doing my job.
You know what I mean?
I'm giving them the
It's-
information, but
yeah,
you.
but
so
that's
is
just
that
bad.
okay? What I'm doing?
No, it's not okay what you're doing. But if you came there and taught them to smoke crack, then you fucked up. You know what I mean?
But I'm not.
It's
listen,
bad decisions.
But
if you
I'm doing
taught
my
them-
job, and I'm the best. I mean, I got awards. They highlighting me,
And guess
right?
what?
But
And they
guess
can't
what?
take it from
Now
you.
somebody see me. Now one of them kids just so happened to see me,
and they say,
right? But they know me as this white chair.
right.
Now I'm coming in, walking through. Now my coattails is red. Is that okay?
Well,
regardless if I'm giving them what they need.
You know what kind of lesson that is? It's like a reality lesson.
I don't know
You know
if
what
I
I mean?
agree with that.
People are not always that same individual they are in professional
Then
settings.
how can
They
you
lay their
make
head
money
down
off
different
it and
ways.
it's okay?
I mean, people buying it.
That's being dishonest.
I mean, people buying it.
So
They,
you got all kinds of people in
Now,
this
if this
world.
person say, I stand by this, I only use this product, I only do this, that, and the other thing, and then you catch them doing the opposite, then that's a problem. That's a lie. But if I'm giving you information by saying, hey, you know, you're supposed to look both ways before you cross the street, then you find out I got hit by a car. I mean, well,
I think that's just different. That's an accident.
I didn't. No. I might have got hit by a car because I didn't follow the information I told you.
Okay.
But now I didn't owe you that. I didn't owe you my life. My job was to make sure you didn't get hit by a car.
So now I understand everything that you're saying, right? But if you build a person up, right? Let's just say you building a person up. So that information, that source can be your parent, your grandma,
You did
whomever,
your job.
right? But then when you see, I feel like some people, right? Because we're all different. If you see that person that builds you up at, looking like shit or at Bottoms Creek, will you still be as uplifted, or would you feel lied to? Would you feel like this person mistreated me, or this person got over on me? No? Yes?
I mean, it
You
depends.
gave them your money.
I guess I need a better scenario, because if I did what I was doing off of what that person was saying, based off of them doing it, and they sold it to me as this is what I do, and I only did it because they did it, then I might feel a little bamboozled. But if the information they gave me worked for me, I mean, they ain't lied to me.
Okay.
So
They don't owe me that. They don't owe me their life. They owe me the game that I'm buying, or whatever the product, whatever it is.
You got two different perspectives of what y'all talking about. So like, even if you look at, it's two different ways to look at it, because you look at a guy like Lawrence Taylor, right? Great NFL player. He was the most dominant NFL player when he was on that field. But when Lawrence Taylor got off that field, he had to smoke that crack. Now, if you watch Lawrence Taylor and you wanted to be like Lawrence Taylor, you better focus on Lawrence Taylor on that field. Don't be Lawrence Taylor off the field.
Yeah.
Because you might find yourself smoking, cracking out the league. But another thing though, I understand what you're saying, because we come from an era of practice what you preach. We had those words as growing up drilled in our head. Hey, whatever you say, you better be about it. Just like growing up, you could not come outside. In this generation now, you get to be whoever you want to be in this imaginary world. But growing up, whatever you said you was, you had to be that.
Right.
And everybody was looking to see, hey, if you were saying you was the best fighter, well, here come the fighter to come find out if you the best fighter.
Right.
If you saying you was the best dancer, well, here comes such and
Yes.
such from over here. And they want to see you. You gotta get down.
Yes.
So we come from the era of show me, don't tell me, show me. And sometimes because of that and this new world that we living in, the shit don't line up right. But it true indeed. It don't take away from what the person telling you could be true. But secondly, I don't think nobody practices what they preach.
Like you said, it depends on who you are as an individual, man. When you taking information, you taking advice from anybody. I don't take everything
that's serious.
that serious. You got some information for me, I can utilize it or not. But if I got to get into what you do with your personal life, I think
That's
I'm a
not
little.
really
I think I'm a
personal.
little weak.
I don't
If
think it's
if I need to see
personal.
what you did.
I don't think it's personal for me, especially maybe it's a man versus a woman type of situation. But let's just say you have a young girl who has gone through whatever tragedies, right? And you have somebody trying to encourage and uplift you, and you find out that they are not what they say they are, or their story is not what they claim it to be. And this, you, for that person, for that child, you're their only source. You're the only person that they can, that they're hearing something positive. Will that be something that will cause them to revert back to their old ways, or would they feel like this person cheated and lied to me, or will they say like you, I got what I needed, so I'm good.
Depends on the individual.
And that's what I'm saying. Because we all different,
right.
you can't gauge who you're going to affect positively or negative. Right. And if you're not coming with an authentic message, then should you be speaking?
I guess in this particular conversation we would have to have specifics because, like you said, it can go all over the board. But like I said, just to dumb it down, if I'm a person who say, listen, man, I don't think that you should, sell drugs. There's a whole lot of bad things out there that come with that, and you find out I do it. Well, who better to tell you that you shouldn't do it? The person that do it, or the person who won't have a clue about it. So you might find out, man, he's saying don't do it is the bad thing in the world, but he out there doing it. But I'm suffering from all of the things I told you not to do. So was the information I gave you valid, or was it not?
I don't know. That's a good point. I'll have to think about it.
See, do you want information to make your own decision, or do you want somebody to follow behind? Depends on the individual.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
All right. Well, this week was a pretty somber week. We had two important people in history and the culture of this country die. One, we had Larry King pass away. Great interviewer, the man. If you get a chance, go on YouTube, look him up, Larry King. He has some great interviews, bringing out people to talk to him about perspective and things like that. And the second one was Hank Aaron. He was the baseball home run leader for quite some time until the late 90s, early 2000s. And from my understanding, he did it without steroids, so some people say he still is the home run leader.
Okay.
This point right here, I just want to see because, Hank Aaron was in baseball, and at one point in baseball, we had a Negro League. And sometimes in life, like we was kind of saying, like when you get the money, you move to Ben Salem and things like that. I want to know, like, is it really worth it? Why do sometimes people always think another set of people have the colder ice? Because ice is just ice. But sometimes we think the ice is better. Or maybe the ice was made with alkaline water or something. But sometimes we make the assumption that the ice is better, or that the grass is greener. But maybe the grass is greener because they got lawnmowers to cut it and to nurture it better. And sometimes instead of us nurturing our own grass, we try to run over to the other people's grass instead of making our grass better. So,
and we talk in terms of why he went from the Negro League to...
No. Jackie Robinson actually did that. But what I'm saying is that, like, at one point in time in baseball, we had our own Negro League. So do we think it would have been better if we just would have kept our league?
That's what I was asking. What I was asking. Not about a particular individual on who did it. Yeah. I'm asking, are you saying... in terms of that, should we have stayed in the Negro Leagues versus going to
the MLB?
And I think that's a complicated question because if you're a person like Jackie Robinson or something like that and you didn't dominated this league, I think when you're an artist or you're any kind of competitor, you want to prove that you're the dominant. You have dominance over that sport in general. You want to prove that you're the best in the world, and you can't do that when you have a segregated group of people. I can only be better than all of the black guys. No, I am better than everybody in the world at this sport, and I need to express that. So I think when you had some of them guys that went from this point to that point, I think it was more of a competitive nature. I don't think it really had much to do with not wanting to be in the Negro League anymore. I think it was more of a thing where I need to prove that I'm better than you, and you. I think it was bigger than segregation.
I mean, I'm not really heavily into sports, but I do know that baseball is one of the highest paying professions. So in regard to, it continuing to be a Negro League, would they have been able to reach the salary heights as they
I have no idea about the salaries, but I'll play devil's advocate. Why couldn't the white boys come over there?
Well, it was called the Negro League. Theirs was just called the Baseball League. So
Okay.
it seemed like you would have to be a
So-
Negro to even play there.
So with that being said, now and this is goes along with it. Now in sports, you see a lot of players being mad because the ownership and the owners of these companies are not being they're not being open to these African American to these cultures. Like you looking at the NFL right now.
They don't appreciate
Yeah, they don't-
people that's
this-
allowing them to gain these billions and gazillions of dollars,
Right.
basically.
So the thing about it is, like, I double back on what I'm saying is, you go, so these other players, you go to these other leagues. Do you think you would have those same problems if these people, if we would have maintained our leagues? I mean, when you look at basketball, football, it used to be baseball, but then for some reason baseball is more of a white and Latino sport at this point. But when you go to football and basketball, and you look at these sports, you look how we dominate, how we bring in this money. It's almost like, it's almost like they just like shut up and play. Like, and no matter what you're gonna say, they're gonna be like, yo, shut up. They'll keep
Still like
upping
that.
it, yeah,
And it's still- yes.
and they'll keep upping the money, and they're like, you sure you want to shut up? You sure you don't want to shut up? You sure you don't want to shut up? And it's like one thing about I see in business, especially business in America, they're either gonna bury you in bombs or bury you in money. So either shut up and take this money, or you'll never play here again.
But now, does their personal issues, color, race, sexuality, do those things have a role at your job?
Right.
Do they have a role at your job? That's the question that I struggle with all the time because, when I go to work, I'm going to work. I'm going to
Right.
work with my
Right.
children,
Right.
and now my job now entails, all these other components
That has
that's
nothing
taken
to do
away
with
from
the
my
job.
job
Right.
at hand.
And
So it's almost like when I looked at the interview and I'm looking at the times that, 70s, 60s, and now, if he had not worked or played in the baseball league and earned the monies, I think he said that his highest salary was $200,000 when he left. If he had not earned those monies and been able to be that hero for his family or the people that care and love him, would he have been able to do that otherwise? And what plays a bigger weight? Helping your family, being that star in your family, your children's eyes, your cousins, nieces, nephews, versus you sticking and holding to this set of morals or this set mentality,
Right.
just to prove your point. Which one makes most sense?
Right.
Well, see, for me, the money shit is sticky. Because in my life, every time I made a decision based on money, I swear to God, it was like, probably it always turned to be like one of my worst decisions. Every time I make a decision off money, but when I make a decision based off my morals, financially it's the worst decision for me. But in my peace of mind and in my soul, I'd be like, I did what I wanted to do, and I did not.
You don't have regrets.
Yeah, I don't have regrets. But when
Right.
I did it for the money, be like, damn, I got the money. And see, and the thing about these jobs, as you brought up at your job, I've worked in jobs where special treatment is given to certain people because of their ethnicity, and
Exactly.
and I ain't one that got the color to get the treatment. So I've seen people I've seen people that was remedial
Exactly.
get treated like they are smart,
Yes.
or because of the network they'll get
Who they know.
they'll get to shoot up the ladder way past somebody who is as competent as the person who's giving out the orders, but because they don't fit a certain image or certain groups, and that's a lot of stress. So as a person who's an entrepreneur, I'm like, man, I really have my own shit. But then, like I said, when you go out and do your own shit, yes, it's very painful, it's very stressful. So if Jackie Robinson just say Jackie Robinson said, I'm gonna stay with the Negro League. There's no guarantee that the people who ran the Negro League would have been like, like you said, the worst people ever treat you worse was some of your own people.
Exactly.
So who's to say that the people who ran the league wouldn't have went crazy with it? But it's all a slippery slope. But I'm quite sure you wouldn't be hearing people arguing about who's the GM, who's the coach. Shut up and play. When you kneel, you mess up the ratings. I've had a white guy tell me, I watch sports. I don't want to see that stuff. I'm just like, well, I live every day in these communities. I don't want to go through this shit. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
like, you know, so if you don't, you know, sometimes in life you gotta look at 3D. You gotta look at the other person's perspective. I get it. Sports is how you relax. You don't want to go through it. I understand. But if we don't put it in your face, you don't know what's going on. And the only time we know what's the biggest watch things in sports, you know what I mean? Sunday football. You know?
When I'm listening to you talk, in my mind, I'm thinking of this man, this Larry. I'm thinking of this man. What's his last name?
Larry King.
Larry King. But then in my head, I'm thinking of O.J. Simpson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that that's popping in my head is because would O.J. Simpson have been able to embark upon his whole legacy had he not? It ain't even about who he was. I think my point is, if you are confident enough in who you are versus having that inferior mentality, I think that's two very things when you are dealing with others. And when you come off as authentic and not inferior, you get a different whole reaction from others. Period. They respect you more. But when you have that nigga mentality and you have that inferior mentality, it's almost like a nigga and a bitch. He know how to get you. He know how to play on you based on what you coming with. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, he already know your moves, so he gonna get you.
Exactly. So it's almost like, you know, it's all about learning how to play the game. And first and foremost, before we can even go into that, we gotta be our sharpest. Every day I tell myself and my kids, be your very best self. Tell me why you will wake up out of your bed to not be your very best self each and every day of your life. It makes no sense. So when you're talking about business, when you're talking about gaining, when you're talking about being, you know, the next successful person, all of those elements play a key role. And first and foremost, ain't nobody better than me. If you don't have that type of mentality, I just don't understand how you gonna get from point A to point B. Nobody is better. We look at what we built. We come from kings and queens. And when you don't have that knowledge, you don't have that understanding, that's why we can't as a people get to that next point. In my opinion.
I agree.
So, like I said, when we go into like it was funny you said that about how they know those moves, how to deal with you, because you know, a personal story, because I always got a personal story. They called me a preacher reef.
He been a businessman before he came out.
I was 2 years old.
Yes.
But you know, I was at a job in Detroit recently, in Michigan, and I got into an argument with another white supervisor. We were both supervisors. I'm one of the top black people on the job, and we having a argument about we having a discussion about how the procedures and how the job was properly supposed to be done. And when my argument with him was that's not to the procedure, therefore we didn't do it. And when he couldn't get me to bow down to him, the man looked me in my face and said, "You ain't nothing but a goddamn boy. You ain't nothing." Yeah, I said it and I meant it. You was a motherfucking boy.
Wow.
And when he said it to me being young Sharif
wanted a
out of Philadelphia,
reaction.
yeah, it took everything in me not to punch this guy in his head. Or to hurt him. For one, if I would have,
That's what he wanted.
Right.
If I would have did it, we were on a government site. A, I go to jail. B, I lose my access. C, I was over top of 80 people from this area who I was sent out there to make sure we got the job done. So for me to lose all that just for the satisfaction of punching him in his head, I would have been the fool.
And looking like a
So
nut.
yeah, and so I had to revert back to what my dad always told me, like, don't let nobody play you out. I personally felt like I had a nervous breakdown standing there because in my soul I wanted to hurt this man in ways I never hurted nobody before. And it took for me to go outside and get some air. And I'm talking about the tension was so thick. And on these types of jobs, there is a no fight policy. I mean, you will be cuffed and stuffed and sent off somewhere if you ever fight in one of these places. So when I go outside and I got the young black people around me who I'm here to navigate and help through this job, they looking at me like, "Reef, what you gonna do? Let's just tell him, give me the word, and I knock his head off. I knock him the F out right now." And I told him, "No, it's not about that. It's not about that. Don't do that. Whatever you do, that's what they want us to do." And as I'm sitting out there, that same white guy came out there and looked me in my face and say, his exact words was, "Hey, Sharif, can we discuss this like men?" I said, how we can discuss this like men? You just called me a boy. And we
Right,
all know
right.
a southern white man call a black man a boy. That ain't just no regular boy.
He knew what it meant.
He knew exactly
And
what it
he
meant.
knew you knew what it meant.
Yeah, and
most importantly.
and you know, he said that to me. And this is a long story, so please bear with me. So once he said this to me, I told him, man, listen, you lucky you alive right now. And I got about 6 of the biggest black strong people you can imagine sitting around me. We standing around outside. And I said, you lucky you got your life right now. And I said, the only thing I can do for you is just to make sure you get fired when we get over there to that meeting in about 20 minutes. So he was like, what? Fired. and he arrogantly walked off. And I'm sitting right there, and everybody like, Reef, man, why you stay knocking that? Well, you know, you should just let me know. And I'm looking at them like, that's not the point. Y'all missing it. If one of y'all hit him, he won. Because he gonna get that lawsuit money.
Yep.
He gonna sit home and work his comp, and when his jaw get done healing, he gonna say, I can't have sex with my wife now because I'm stressed out. So I go into the meeting at 5:15. I'm sitting there, I'm saying prayers to myself, to God, like, God, please guide my tongue. And as I walk into this meeting, and the meeting start, the head guy, a younger white guy named Chris something, he starts going to me. I said, hold on, Chris, before you say anything else, I need to interrupt this meeting. I said, we got a problem here today. Because I was totally disrespected out here while we was working. Everybody, if you can imagine, this little trailer is 30 white people in here looking at me, and probably like 4 black people, and they looking like, what is he talking about? Because I got to project my voice in a way I never really had to project it before, and I'm like, I have been disrespected. And while I'm talking now, if you imagine if I'm talking like this at these people,
right.
That door opens up, and now here comes about 30 black people walking in at one time. One guy tried to run over there and shut the door, but he couldn't because there was so many people. He just jumped back and looked like. And he's sitting there, his face is shocked. And he's sitting there like, what is going on? So now you just seen 30 people walk through this door. And the guy who called me the boy, he's sitting right here. And I'm standing probably about 10 feet, probably about 2 feet away from him. And I'm talking about what happened. And I'm telling him, like, you know, we got a serious problem because I'm one of the highest ranking black people here. And I was called a boy from one of my coworkers here. So if you call me that, then what are you saying about all these people right here?
Right.
And when I'm saying these things, I can see everybody's face like, are they going to start whipping our ass? Like what's about to happen here? And you can see the soul coming out of everybody's face. And I'm sitting there and I'm going on a tangent saying about, you know, we're going to be respected here. And this was like the tip of the iceberg because we kept having social issues with these people from the Midwest and down south. They wasn't used to East Coast black people, which is different than a different type of, some black people could take a little bit more than other black people. I'm not from the school of bow. I will not bow down to anyone, black, white, or any other nationality. You respect me, I'm gonna respect you. So when I did that, the head guy there said, when I said that boy thing, he said, you know what? I know what you mean. And then the guy who called me the boy, he tried to interrupt me. Now him interrupt me could have got real crazy. Mm-hmm. And the guy mailed out said, I know exactly what you mean, Sharif. If you can we please come in my room and talk? So as we went in the room and talked, it became another big thing where they said, man, I can't believe you came out here and did this to us in front of everybody. And I said, no, I can't believe what he did to me. You know, he should never call me that. So that was the end of the shift, and they said, Sharif, like, is there any way you can coexist with this guy here? And I told him, I said, look, this is what y'all could do for me. I said, you could pick him or me. I don't care who you pick. But just know if I come here tomorrow, I won't be here. Just know if I come in tomorrow and see him, I won't be here no more.
Right.
I'm out of here. So, and then the rally and the call was put out to everybody. And I'm not going to say I was there with 80 people. I'm not going to say all 80 of them would have left. But I guarantee you, at least 40 of them, maybe 20 would have left. And even if 20 would have left, that would have slowed the job down so much that they couldn't afford for that to happen.
Exactly.
Right? So on one hand, they had to say, do we take this fool that can't control his mouth,
right,
or do we keep this guy that's helping this job keep moving? And they chose the latter, and they went with me, and I'm glad they did, and everybody was able to get paid, and we got out of there.
Right.
But I say that to say, like, don't let nobody fool you or try to make your moves. When they use certain words and things like that, you ain't got to react all the time.
Exactly.
I mean, some of those words are reactionary words, and they want this certain reaction. And the thing to go back to what we were talking about earlier with gentrified minds, you know, it was some black people there who saw me 101 in the locker rooms and say, Sharif, you know, he ain't mean nothing by that. You know, 40-year-old black man wanted to tell me that guy didn't mean nothing about that. And I'm trying to
because they have been conditioned that way.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, well, how did he mean it?
Yeah.
Whatever way
did
is
he
there to
mean?
take that.
maybe because we from Philadelphia.
40-year-old man
Yeah,
and a
40-year-old boy.
superintendent of the job,
Yeah.
and you said I'm a boy.
A boy. So
There's no other way to
maybe I
take
missed
it.
something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I say all that to say that don't let these people predict your moves. When you feel somebody trying to play you, take a deep breath. Think about it. It ain't just the reaction that they want to give you, and the reaction that's going to make you feel good at that moment is probably not always the best reaction.
Right.
Not even that. To me, it's a mind game. It is so hilarious to me. Even dating back, I can recall people like, you don't feel any kind of way, when you're in sex and, they're waiting on you. Bitch, I'm swiping my card. Are you kidding me right now? I never understood that concept. Like, they waiting on me. Why am I looking at them as if they're better than me? Or I'm not even paying her no mind, period. I don't even remember what color she was to begin with because I'm so busy trying to wear this new piece. I don't even understand the dynamic in it. But what I will say is this. Just look at how hard they work to keep us in a box. Look how hard they work to, imprison us, enchain us, keep us from being educated. It has to be a reason. Nobody goes through such great lengths to keep a group of people inferior. It's a reason. They know how great we are. They know how, brilliant we are in regards to building. We built where they live. They know we built this city, this country, this world, everything that we have going on, they need us. So they either need us to be enslaved where they can control us, or they gotta do something else and they gotta figure it out. Because they like, these black people making too much money. It's too many of them on, too many stars. Football players, basketball players, boxers. You got too many things jumping off right now. We got Oprah. We got Tyler Perry. They don't know what to do. And if people really, look at that, because again, you can look at every situation in your life. People only give 150% if it means something.
Right.
They are going so hard at it. It has to be for a reason. Look at that reason. Look at why they do what they do. And maybe that'll help you get to a better position in your life and be more comfortable and confident or, motivated to be your very best self. I would hope.
I just wish all of that information that they know about us, we knew and understood that about us. I think if we were just as aware of who we are as they are,
Oh, yeah.
we'll be doing these things that we're doing consciously with intention, not just off of instinct. Because I think we're winning in a lot of areas off of instinct. I don't even think we know that we kings and queens. You know what I mean? It's just instinct.
Yeah. Well, that comes with history, But again, if people really pay attention to what's going on, what happened in the Capitol, how we got senators, doing the same thing we had our president do, but they want to convict him of a crime. But these senators are still our state representatives. You got to pay attention to those things because let's date back now. If we had certain people control certain things, that is why our history books say a certain message.
Right.
That's why they include certain people. Whose history are they recording and trying to put in our brains as if it is history?
Yeah, whose story is it?
Exactly, because it's not our story.
Yeah,
it's a made-up story.
You know what I mean? Whose story is it? And when you tap into your greatness, if anybody watching us today, really think about who you are, and tap into your greatness, and the things that you let you eat yourself up, and the things you knock yourself down for, whether you think you're fat, whether you think you're not as pretty as this one, or you're not as handsome as that one. Don't let none of this stuff handicap you. Don't let none of this stuff because as long as you love you inside, and it goes back to gentrify, ungentrify yourself. Love yourself. Take care of yourself like the way that people see when they go in there and gentrify communities, they bring it all back. When they come in there and gentrify communities, they make the community better. They get rid of all the trash. Well, start with yourself. Start gentrifying yourself. The first thing you got to start gentrifying is your negative thoughts about yourself. Self-awareness, self-confidence will put you above anybody. He can have more money than you. She can be more pretty than you. They can have more than whatever they think they got you. But as long as you are 100% whole with yourself and you ain't lying to yourself every day, man, you already ahead. And that's the main thing we want to talk about today. Stop gentrifying your mind. So when you stop gentrifying your mind, you can love yourself. And as you love yourself, you can learn how to love your people. And from there, we can start building our communities and things like that. Stop thinking the grass is greener somewhere else. And sometimes you are going to have a plan that's going to be different than us. Like he said, sometimes you want to be a person that want to compete and things like that, and that's great. You should be, because it proves that you are the best. But even when you do that, I would suggest that when you're doing that, then you make sure while you're doing that you are, for the people in your household, your daughters, your sons, you're raising them to be great people. Great people from the inside out, not from the outside. It's not based on some type of material you could have. It's based on who you are and how you treat people, because everything you do in this life get reciprocated to you.